Hey guys, Jim here again to bring you another MMA fight prediction video. And this time I'm covering the UFC Fight Night 36 headliner that features a middleweight matchup between former UFC Lightheavyweight champion Lyoto the Dragon Machida when he battles the former Strikeforce and Dream champion Gegard the Dreamcatcher Mousasi, or better known as the Armenian Assassin. I like that nickname better. But nevertheless, I'm going to give you guys a full fight breakdown of the two fighters and who I have ultimately winning and working one step closer to that middleweight championship goal. Now, let's get to Gegard Mousasi. Now, Lyoto Machida, was on the cusp for a title shot this year. I mean, he beat Dan Henderson in an ugly affair to get the #1 contendership. And then, obviously went to Gus, and then, he was still a possible contender for Jones probably next year until he just lost to Phil Davis in a fight where his style betrays him again, and he just, wasn't as busy as needed to be. Yes, he outstruck Phil with more, significant strikes, but he didn't defend the takedowns in the first 2 rounds, and he just wasn't, being as aggressive as he needs to be. Because the judges look at that, elusiveness and not, engagingness from Lyoto as weakness. I mean, they score against it oftentimes. Sometimes they praise it, sometimes they don't. And yes, he started defending the takedowns in the third, and he was outlanding Phil all the way around the fight, and he was doing really good in the third. But the problem is his lack of aggression in the first 2 rounds, and it's just his style. Lyoto is a Shoryuken karate counter striker, and he reacts to what his opponent is trying to do to him. And once they get into motion what they're going to do, he intercepts and responds to it, and then gets in and out. That's how Machida is, and that it wasn't working for him in that fight. And he just moved down the middleweight, where I think he's going to be more successful, and knocked out Mark Munoz, a UFC Fight Night event, where he was the main event, versus Munoz by knockout in the first round with a beautiful head kick. Now, for Machida's opponent, the former Strikeforce and Dream champion, Gegard Mousasi, who's been on a pretty good win streak since losing to King Mo. Because he beat Jake O'Brien, he won the Dream Light Heavyweight Championship against some Japanese dude, and recently defeated Mike Kyle at the last Strikeforce event via submission. And then he finally moved over to the UFC, where he was supposed to face Alexander Gustafsson in a Fight Night event in Sweden, but Gus couldn't make it in, so his teammate Latifi took it, and Gegard won that fight by unanimous decision by outstriking his opponent and defending the takedowns rather effectively. Now, heading into this fight, a lot at stake, because the winner could find himself as a #1 contender for Chris Weidman's belt after Vitor Belfort gets his shot at Chris Weidman. And the winner of that bout will likely meet the winner of this bout between Lyoto Machida and Gegard Mousasi. Breaking down these two guys in our tail of the tape here. Both are the same height, 6'1". Gegard has more reach than Machida at 76 inches to Machida's 74 inches. 2 inches difference there. They both got great cardio. They both can go 5 rounds. When it comes to striking, Lyoto's a karate practitioner, Gegard's a kickboxer. Machida's a counter striker. Once he sees an opportunity, he gets in there, he charges, and then he moves out. For the most part, he's waiting for you to react. That's what Machida's style is. His type of striking, he wants you to come at him so he can react to what you're doing. Like when John Jones came in there and kicked him to the leg, you saw he went in there for that double punch counter, which is primarily what he uses in his little karate blitz when he goes in there, and he goes in fast and deep, and he's just going in there, boom, in there, hot-headed and rush in. You're going to get blitzed and knocked the hell out. Just like Ryan Bader did. When Ryan Bader got impatient, he basically rushed Machida and he got knocked out. Lyoto didn't have any wind-up to any of his kicks. He just kicks you from his stance. There's no wind-up at all. And he's very good at getting in and out. He's very fast. He has great knees, great Muay Thai clinch, and great head kicks, and a wicked crane kick. Just actually ran a couture. He was up looking at the lights when Lyoto hit him with that thing in the second round of their fight at UFC 129. Gegard, excellent kickboxer, got heavy hands, and he throws a lot of kicks, a lot of hooks, uppercuts, and he beat two K1 standouts in Mousasi and the former K1 heavyweight champion Kachiro. He's a very tactical, aggressive fighter, but not overly aggressive like a lot of guys. He uses very smart aggression. He knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off. But once he knows he has you hurt, he's going to go in there and bull rush you. When it comes to the ground game, Lyoto's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Gegard is a black belt in Judo. Both of these guys have submissions on their records, and they're very good at defending submissions. I mean, Lyoto, I think he submitted Sokachu. He submitted somebody else early in his career. He's got 2 submissions to his credit. He does go for submissions. If he sees an opportunity, he will do it, just like he did in the Rampage fight. He tried to go for some legs. He tried to get in a triangle choke. Gegard has a ton of submission highlights and tons of submission wins. Just like when he went to the Dream tournament, he submitted Dennis Kang with a triangle choke. He submitted Melvin Manhoff with a triangle choke. He submitted Mike Kyle most recently with a rear naked choke, which is one of his favorite chokes. Comes down to the wrestling aspect of this fight. Neither one of these guys are wrestlers per se. I think that's Gegard's main weakness is the wrestlers, because we've seen King Mola Wall take him down plenty of times. We saw Keith Jardine take this guy down. We saw Jacare take him down. Dennis Kang take him down. He's improved it somewhat, but yeah, that's part of his game where he's kind of like he needs to work on it seriously a lot more. But he's got some decent offensive wrestling as well, because he did take down Mike Kyle, Mark Hunt, and he's very good at sweeping and getting top position once somebody has him down, like what he did with Sokachu. He got back on top of him and he started reining in the punches and stuff like that when he got a superior position over him. And he's got excellent ground and pound. Now Machida, he's hard to take down. Very few people get him down. Jones was able to get him down. Phil was able to get him down only because he wasn't really trying to defend the takedowns that much. But he's also got excellent offensive wrestling. I mean, he took down Tito Ortiz like he was a kid. I mean, he uses trips a lot. And, you know, his takedowns are not like doubles. They're like onto you. It's kind of like almost like a falling belly to belly type of, like, you know, takedown that Machida likes to do with almost all of his opponents. I mean, because think about it, he took down Tito, he took down Rampage, and he took down Shogun and Rashad. So wrestling-wise, advantage Machida. Now here's how it's going to play out game plan-wise from what I see. Now, Lyoto is going to look to do what he does, his counter-striking and being elusive, albeit a little bit more busier. Because if he shows like any sign of weakness to the judges by backing up too much, they're going to score the round against him and give it to Gegard for being more aggressive. He's going to try to frustrate Gegard into playing his game. He's going to look for opportunities to measure the distance, to land something big, like that crane kick, or if the opportunity presents itself in the fight, he's going to bum rush him with a double punch counter. And then, follow it up with knees, punches, and kicks. He needs to be careful when he's, like, trying to do that little diving punch move he likes to do, which he hadn't done since the Thiago Silva fight, because even if he throws Mousasi on the ground, Mousasi has got a dangerous up kick. And if you get kicked with that, you can get knocked out like Jacare did. So he's got to be careful there. So, I mean, if he's going to take him down, he needs to take him down that little falling belly to belly like he likes to do. And then, again, maintain the top control and try to work a submission, some ground and pound. But he needs to be more, more aggressive to the point where the judges are not scoring his elusiveness, his counter-striking style, as weakness, as they've done in the Rampage fight and the film fight, because the rules of the UFC are basically effective striking, grappling, and octagon control. And if you're not showing any of that, you're just backing up, they're going to score that against you. Unless when you're backing up, you're also throwing strikes, just like Carlos Condit was doing. When he was fighting Nick, he was backing up, but he was also hitting shots. That's what Lyoto has to do in this fight if he's going to win by decision. But with Gegard being an aggressive fighter, he could very well win this by a knockout. Now, the key for Mousasi to defeat Lyoto Machida, from what we've all seen over the years from his past opponents, specifically Shogun Rua, is to get his timing right. Because once you get Machida's timing right, then you got it. Although that's easier said than done. And unlike a lot of Machida's opponents, I know Gegard Mousasi is smart enough to know that to get ready for a Shogun karate guy, you have to train with guys that know that style, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be doing that and incorporating that into his training to get used to that style. But he's got to get his timing just right if he wants to finish him and put him in some trouble. He's got to close the distance, cut the ring off. He can't let Machida run around the ring with his elusive bullshit. He's got to take the fight to him, but in a very smart, aggressive, and active approach. He's got to start from the bottom with his legs and then work his way up. Because it's not so easy to get to Machida's head and land punches. So what you got to do, you got to start low and then move up. Because eventually his head's going to come and he's going to be in range. You can start landing combinations. In addition to that, Gegard has to defend Machida's takedowns. And should he find himself on the ground with Machida being on top of him, he has one or two options. One, he can basically try to work him from underneath and try to submit him with a triangle choke, because Tito Ortiz almost submitted Lyoto with a triangle choke if he didn't go for that stupid armbar. And Gegard's pretty good at that choke, and he's not going to go for anything stupid. He's going to hold it until Machida taps. Or what he could do is guard pass and get on top of Lyoto and start, getting the ground and pound in and slicing him up with elbows. Because once Machida starts to bleed, he doesn't think straight and he's more susceptible to attack. And that would be the perfect opportunity for Gegard to finish his fight when Machida is disoriented. But if that's not possible, he needs to keep the pressure on Machida. He has to stay on point, not fall into Machida's trap, and just, literally try to go for zone takedowns. If he doesn't get it, don't worry about it. Just make the attempt. Just be active. That's just more. Be more active than Machida. If you're more active than Machida, you can still win the fight on points. That's for sure. When looking at this fight, quite honestly, when analyzing everything, it's Lyoto's fight to lose. Because I think he's just a more diverse striker than Gegard Mousasi with his Shudokan, and he combines everything else with it, with the boxing and the Muay Thai and all the other stuff, to make his striking, a little bit hard to deal with. I think he's going to skip to Lyoto's loop, and Lyoto's going to be able to catch him coming in. with combinations. He's going to knock his ass out. Or if Lyoto's busy enough and is basically circling around him and striking him at the same time, he can take this fight by decision. So that's my official prediction, that Lyoto Machida is going to win over Gegard Mousasi by either knockout, by capitalizing on Gegard's mistakes, or by decision, by just outworking the guy. And he will go on to possibly face the winner of Chris Weidman and Vitor Belfort. I mean, and I say that because obviously he's highly ranked, and plus it makes good business. Who the hell would want to see Lyoto Machida versus Chris Weidman, or Lyoto Machida versus Vitor Belfort? Either one of those fights is money because of the styles that both of those opponents present to Lyoto. Just awesome. But for Gegard, if he decides to stay at middleweight, he's going to put some wins together, and he's going to be a contender for that belt eventually. That's for sure. Now this ends today's fight prediction video. I'll see you guys for the next one.